we're about to get into. So I'm going to zip my lips and introduce Liesl Leary-Perez from Hubelo, who is going to moderate a great conversation on hybrid and all the possibilities coming up. Liesl, thank you so much for joining us. I know we're like, we connected about this event, and Diana told us that we're like sisters. And the more I get to know you, I'm like, we are definitely of like mind. So
I know. I really want to be spending more time with you, actually. And so, yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. So the topic of my presentation today is, and it's not a presentation, actually. I'm calling this a live Pinterest board. Because who among us has not, especially as event planners, hasn't gone to Pinterest to go look for great ideas on how to, do great events. But the thing that I've especially noticed recently is that everyone keeps using the word hybrid, which I think is a word that we all universally hate. But even more annoyingly is that everyone's trying to define it. And no one has actually been able to define it. So this presentation is not going to try to define what hybrid is. Instead, what I've done is I've come and I've invited some of my favorite event planners in the industry. We've got Pauline, hello, who is one of my favorite collaborators. We also have Jason Tacoma, and I let them all introduce themselves. Who's the event dad, and in fact, a new dad with a fresh new baby. And then we have Jessica Connolly, who is one of my favorite event planners from all time. We have worked together for over 10 years now, and I just thought it was a great time to share her knowledge with the world. So Pauline, Jason, and Jessica, we'll start with Pauline. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. So hi, my name is Pauline. I am a digital event planner, a digital marketeer, and also a startup founder. I work with charities and nonprofits. And recently I had an opportunity to be collaborating with a lot of technology suppliers as well, digital studio. So I'll be able to certainly share a little bit of insight on the hybrid event experience. Thanks a million.
Jason?
My name is Jason. I'm based in Barcelona. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Acomo. We are event planners, venue finders. We help people find the right suppliers within cities within Europe and just help them create very good events. We made a hard transition into the digital space like everybody else last year. So have slowly become experts in the kind of the event tech area that we're going to talk about. So hybrid events, virtual events. And I'm very excited to be here at this coffee chat with you.
Great. And Jessica?
Hey, everyone. I am really excited to be here. I'm coming from Boulder, Colorado, where it is beautifully sunny out and starting to feel a little bit like fall. So I've been planning events in person for over 15 years, and I guess now I'm a professional virtual event planner, and looking forward to, bringing this hybrid. Agree with Liesl. I don't love the word hybrid, but exploring this new opportunity of event experiences, just taking a whole new role and a whole new journey with them. So excited to be here.
Fantastic. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 3 different ideas of the best hybrid events that you guys have seen so far. So starting with Pauline, you first.
So actually, one of the best hybrid events that I was participating in, and I have to say it because people don't talk about it enough, it's all the matches, all the Oscar galas that we were always able to see on our TV screen. So I think we have to start with that because people think hybrid is new. It's not new. And obviously, there are now even more experiences, like you were able to watch the Euro Soccer Cup. They had a final and they had a live event on the stadium, but they actually had different digital effects for all of the people watching on the TV screens. For everybody who watched it or didn't watch it, go to YouTube and check it out. So I just wanted to highlight that. But one of the events that I'm actually attending pretty soon is during the day, we will have a digital conference. So all the panels, all the talks will be done digitally, but actually the cocktail and the gala dinner will be face to face, only for people who want to attend or are in the country. And I think when I saw that on the poster, I thought, this is brilliant. It's not that difficult to do. And you don't have to juggle the conference to be in person and then broadcast it. You can do it fully online, but then offer that networking experience for people who are in a particular country and can fly to do it and still do the networking. So this is from me. This is what I found recently was brilliant.
That sounds great. I would actually get out of pajamas to go to a dinner.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And you can stay in your pajama to watch all the panels during the day and then put your heels on and network with people in the evening.
Best of both worlds. I love this idea. Okay, so what's the next idea on our live Pinterest board, Jason?
So I agree with Pauline here in that I think when we were all thrown into this this chaos, a lot of us were kind of felt like we had to reinvent the wheel, but hybrid in some form of another kind of has exist, you know, with live sports is a great example. But I think for me, if maybe I'm going in the wrong direction here by trying to define hybrid, but I think the big difference now for me that I'm seeing with the events that are doing it well versus events that are still maybe not quite hybrid is the bridge between the two. And what I mean by the bridge is that if you have a virtual event and you have a live event, but they're completely separate experiences without any engagement between the live audience and the virtual audience, I have a hard time calling that a true hybrid event because for me, I like to see engagement between the two audiences. And one of the events that I saw recently and actually was moderating at that event that did this was based out of Norway. And this was called the Digital Disruptor. And they had a fairly small audience in Norway that was live. And so they were set up in tables. They had a big screen, food and beverage. And then that was broadcast out to a virtual audience around the world, which is pretty common. But what I loved, the kind of wrinkle that I saw there was that they really made a very strong effort to get the virtual audience involved with the in-person audience, even the speakers. So like they had the speaker, one of my favorite speakers, Duncan Wardle, used to be the head of innovation at Disney. He was one of the speakers. And as he was giving his presentation, he had somebody in the audience go around and ask people in the live audience what they thought about the questions. So he was getting live questions from people in the room beamed out to him in a virtual space.
Oh,
And then he did the same thing with the chat. So the chat was also being able to have questions to the virtual speaker. So there was this fantastic bridge between the virtual audience, the virtual speaker, and the in-person audience. And I think for me, as an event planner, that's the goal that I would like to have in a hybrid situation, is creating that true, meaningful engagement between both the virtual and the in-person audience.
That is a fantastic idea. And I hope all of you guys who are logged in and watching this are also sharing your ideas on this live Pinterest board in the chat, because these are great ideas of how you can really create hybrid events in the near future and in the awkwardness we're all about to endure with this fall. So, and Jessica, what about you? What are your what's the best type of hybrid idea?
So this during the pandemic, and I wasn't even thinking too much about hybrid events and what we were doing, because at the very beginning we were trying to do a lot of this. How do we take our in-person event and just make it virtual? And we weren't really thinking about the true experience that the person online was actually facing. We were trying to almost replicate what they were getting at that live event. I think we found out that wasn't always working. So, I just try to always remember it's one event and we're creating two different experiences to keep that kind of hybrid feeling. But something that I really, really enjoyed, and I think, a lot of people involved enjoyed it. I go see a lot of live music, and that was something we couldn't do. And bringing live music back into our lives was really interesting to it wasn't just sitting down at your computer and watching a live concert. I attended one where, the artist was performing live with his band. And so there was also the chat going on. So everyone could participate in the chat and people would comment. And then the artist started responding to people's comments. And we were blown away kind of watching it and being like, oh my gosh, he's talking to us. And then at the same time, the artist was blown away, like, wow, I can talk to my fans right now. I never talk to my fans. We're kind of live in these separate worlds. And now here we are. It's brought us together. So it ended up being, a thing that went on for weeks and weeks as we watched this band do this 8-week series of concerts. And everyone just tuned in each week. We started having watch parties with our friends around the country who would, we'd get together having a chat. There was a chat with the artist, and it really just, you almost felt like you were there again. And, that was the first time I really felt that feeling of being at a live event, even though I was sitting on my couch in my PJs.
That's amazing. Okay, so that actually leads to another question, which I did not tell you I was going to ask, but I'm like curious. And like, again, audience, you guys get to chat about this as well. So we just talked about all of the hybrid events that we've seen that have been really, really effective. So the question I'm going to be asking you now is, what kind of hybrid event do you wish was a hybrid event, but isn't yet? So I'm going to start because I know that like some of the world's best event planners are here, and one of them might actually be involved with Eurovision. Because if we could have Eurovision as a like hybrid event, I would totally host a watch party at my house. And, because it's Eurovision and, it's just amazing. and really completely do that sort of event where, they have the live stage show, but we're all, dressed up in crazy costumes and watching it from home. So that is my dream event that I hope will someday become hybrid. You all have heard it. Somebody make it happen. But what about you, Jason? What kind of hybrid event do you wish actually happened but hasn't happened yet?
So I'm a big sports fan, and I think that we've missed, or the industry has missed an opportunity to really up their game when it comes to sports. Like looking at the Olympics, looking at the NFL on Sundays, even the Euro League, they're doing a great job of streaming that information out to the public in a very engaging way. But I would love to see more ways as a viewer, a virtual viewer, to actually interact with what's happening in the stadium or what's happening on site, in person, right? Again, that bridge between what would be the virtual viewer and the in-person viewer. I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but I feel like with all the technology, and we've gone light years ahead from where we were 18 months ago. And I think that as an experience watching these live events, these live sporting events, I really believe that there's some opportunity there to make the experience that much more kind of incredible and engaging, creating meaningful interactions with the live sporting event. So I would love to see that happen. I don't know how.
Right? Totally. Well, how about you, Pauline? What's the dream event that you wish could be hybrid so you could attend?
So I think fashion weeks, because they were always right, like they were always super VIP events. You either had to get like an invite for them to sit in the front row, the most important people. And it's just such a buzz. I attended one fashion week event in Madrid, actually, and I loved it. So I'm not sure how it would work. I know that Vogue has done some events in terms of like digital and hybrid, but just a fashion week so that more of us can participate and get inspiration. Fashion is all about inspiration and colors and just excitement, really. So I would love to have that as a hybrid.
Or like the Met Gala. Like if that could be a hybrid event, I totally wish they did.
Imagine. They are actually, I know that people are talking about it. I know I'm not the only one to actually allow some access to people for parts of the event, be in the room, stuff like that. So that would be amazing. It's just the same like when you look at an influencers, right?
Yeah.
Or these celebrities that now can actually communicate with wider public and share their personal experiences via Instagram, and you have a little bit more access to them now. So the same, I just want all the cool fashion weeks to be more accessible.
100%. Okay. And then Jessica, what's your dream event you wish was hybrid?
Do you know they both took my answer? But maybe I have the solution, and maybe it's not the solution, but something I did see, and this kind of goes back to your first question a little bit, so I'm going to go a little off rail here. But another experience that I saw at a good hybrid event was giving that content to the viewer that's home, and it was more of this behind the scenes and what's going on. And the host kind of took you, here's what's going on behind the scenes, and we have all these cameramen here, but these cameras are set up to our speaker in Singapore, and then our event team is also 300 miles away someplace else, and just getting those behind the scenes. So I think maybe at a sporting event, it's a behind the scenes stadium tour, and maybe you get to meet a player along the way. And same thing in at the Met Gala. Okay, we get to see everyone walk up the stairs, but can we put a camera on someone who's walking through the venue and see a little bit more of that? So, just kind of getting that behind the scenes. So I want to see more behind the scenes. I guess that maybe that would be my my dream. Yeah.
We've been getting a little bit of that with Instagram stories, right? That's why we loved it so much. It was exactly that.
Yeah. So I think we're just kind of dipping our toes into, the possibilities.
Well, and I think the other thing that you guys have just been bringing up is that, okay, you're talking about different use cases of we should do a fashion week and we should do this and we should do that. And it's okay, these are different worlds, but you could actually combine those into, other, venues. Like for instance, if you're talking about diversity and inclusivity, I just want to give a shout out to our interpreter, Terry here. You are amazing. Thank you for being here and making this more accessible for everybody, because that is the future. Okay. And, I'm thinking about Jason and his new baby. And I remember I was a single mom for a long time, and, I couldn't leave my kids. And so, but there weren't really virtual events for me to attend. If there was a sales kickoff, you had to get your butt over to Lisbon or wherever you were going to do the event. And and you couldn't do these alone. So when I think about diversity and inclusivity, I think this is one of the biggest things that are going to be impacting us in the future. And but when you said fashion show, I thought, well, why don't you do a fashion show for we're an Indian-based company, and we have, I'd love to see a fashion show of saris and and people doing that. And then, I don't know what we'd do in America. It would be baseball caps and sports jerseys. Maybe not as exciting, but that's a way that you can really actually connect with your colleagues in another country and really celebrate diversity. So I think this is a great thing. So I think we have 2 more minutes. And so I guess this is going to be a super short answer. Okay. So the question is, how has hybrid events impacted all of us, and are those changes permanent? So give me think about that for a second, and we can go in reverse this time with Jessica. Since everybody steals your answers.
So it's just, it's thinking about it differently. We're thinking about hybrid differently than we did in the past. To me, the Super Bowl has always been a hybrid event, but we weren't really thinking about the at-home viewer. So, that's the impact there. We now really have to think about how do we make that experience more immersive and engaging for the person that's at home. Nobody just wants an on-demand video of an event they can't attend. So, you've got one event, you're creating 2 experiences for that.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Jason, what's the long-term, or what's the impact of hybrid, and what is it permanent?
I think it is. I think it definitely is. It's a new, at the end of the day, events, we've had this debate between virtual, in-person, hybrid. At the end of the day, they're all events, right? We're all creating an experience. And I think hybrid is just another tool to achieve that experience. So I think it's here to stay. And we've all seen real value in terms of reach, accessibility. Like you said, I'm feeling that right now. Normally these opportunities to speak, I wouldn't be able to do that right now because I have a 3-week-old baby at home. However, the technology and the hybrid setup is letting me have these kind of conversations, and I think people are really seeing the value in that. So I think it absolutely is here to stay, and I'm excited to see how it evolves because it's in its infancy. The technology is there, the ideas are there, and I just see it continuing to evolve in a really, really positive way. I'm excited about the future.
And Pauline, what about you?
So for me, hybrid, maybe it's not new, but certainly it represents new opportunity, new ideas, new businesses, new ways of making money, new ways of changing our economy. So let's embrace it. It's new, it's exciting, it's here to stay. And it's also somewhere where we can innovate, right? And how many times in your life do you have an opportunity when your world gets flipped upside down and you have an opportunity to really, really do something new? Not often. So let's embrace it. It's exciting, it's new, and it opens up new horizons.
Fantastic. Well, if there isn't a hybrid board already on Pinterest, we should start one. Just saying, because you're right.
I like it.
Yes, this is like a renaissance of creativity for all of us in the event space, and I'm super for it. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining the show.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Pleasure. Enjoy your events.
Thank you all. That was a great discussion. I see the chat blowing up about everyone's, ideal hybrid event, which is very exciting to see. We're going to thank you, first of all, Liesl,